Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your Friday spot here on Pagan Perspective. This week we are talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is necromancy. The person who asked about necromancy said there wasn't enough talk about necromancy on YouTube, especially in the pagan and witch community, and I agree. I don't run into too many witches who say that they practice necromancy, even though many of them do practice certain aspects of necromancy. And a lot of times whenever necromancy is talked about on YouTube, it is, like the commenter said in the question, it is talked about in the fictional sense, instead of the literal sense and the spiritual practice sense. Necromancy, let's first talk about what it actually is. Necromancy is communicating with the dead, is asking the dead to do favors for you, it is giving offerings to the dead to do favors for you. It is anything basically that has to do with spirits or the dead or things like that. So whenever you use a spirit board or Ouija board, you are doing a form of necromancy. Whenever you consult a medium, you are doing a form of necromancy. Whenever you pray to your lost ancestors for guidance, you are doing a form of necromancy. So, what I do in my practice is basically what I just listed off. I use Ouija boards, I communicate with the dead through like channeling and automatic writing and seances. I communicate with the dead and ask them for favors, and I give them offerings for doing such favors. There's many different things that you can do with necromancy. Necromancy is not raising skeletons from the dead and having them feast upon a village. That is, of course, the fictional part of necromancy. And anyway, what necromancy really is to me is just learning to respect the dead and learning to honor them and work with them. I actually have a whole altar dedicated to death, and whenever people ask what kind of magic I practice, I tell them death magic. Which is just kind of a term that I've made up. I have no idea if it actually exists or not, but instead of saying necromancy, I tell them death magic, because that makes more sense to the average Joe. And then I, of course, end up having to explain it anyway, so I might as well just tell them necromancy for now on, but whatever. Anyway, I love focusing on the energies of death and change and transformation. I also love focusing on spirits and ghosts and ghasts and all those things. As for how necromancy has helped me, it helps you understand that this body that you are in is just a vessel. Your consciousness is something separate from your body. Whether you go on to some afterlife, if that does exist, is of ill importance. What is important is that you should not look at this body as being you. It is you, but it is not all of you. I think that's what necromancy has taught me on a philosophical level, and as a as a helpful level in other areas of my life. I just mostly enjoy helping people connect with their passed over loved ones and helping them kind of close the door between them. For example, if someone's mother has died, or father, or brother, or any loved one that they miss, I will offer to them a session on the spirit board, and usually after the session ends, if it goes well, which 98% of the time it does, the other 2%, usually nothing happens. I'm not saying like demons come through or something like many people claim happen with spirit boards. I'm saying that nothing happens, like the planchette does not move, or it's like a bad connection, or whatever's really going on. I mean, necromancy is something that even I still yet to fully understand, but I like doing things like this because it helps people get closure. Even if it's just a subconscious thing that we kind of make up, it still helps someone get over an incident that they have had some struggle with. So that's good, even if it is all made up. it's still good in my eyes. As for some good reading that I think everyone should do about necromancy and the philosophical stance of necromancy, kind of, and death magic and whatever you want to call it, there's a book by Michel Belanger called Walking the Twilight Path. And it's basically a book that is focusing on, like I said earlier, realizing that this body is a vessel and this is not you. A lot of the meditations in there are things like guided meditations that make you visualize yourself getting older and older and older, and then eventually dying and decaying, imagining your skin withering away off your bones and stuff, and really getting in touch with death and the energies of death, and realizing the morbid reality that we are all going to die one day, and that this body, again, is just a vessel. So, to me, that's what necromancy is, and that's how I utilize necromancy. I really like necromancy. If you would like to contribute anything to what I have said, just comment down below, and thank you for watching. Blessed be.